Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Rankin Mon Valley Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women. My name is Patricia Bluette, and I am the section's corresponding secretary. We thank all of you who are participating in the previous program, and we hope that you will join us again today by calling us at 412 953 9583, and that number will appear at the bottom of the screen as the program goes on. Our special guests this evening are Miss Bonnie DiCarlo. She is the president, and Miss Jill Smallwood, who is the vice president of the Greater Pittsburgh Business and Professional Women. This evening, they will be discussing their organization. Now, this program satisfies three of our national mandates: to disseminate information about issues affecting African American women and their families, to promote and recognize leadership among women of color, and to champion civic and human rights. It also satisfies one of our national initiatives, which is to promote civic engagement and sound public policies. Now, we're going to begin. And instead of me reading the bios, I'm going to introduce our guests and let them tell you all about themselves. So we will start with Miss Bonnie DiCarlo, who is the president of this organization.
Thank you,
Morning.
Miss Pat.
You're welcome.
Yes, I am Bonnie DiCarlo, and I am the president of the Greater Pittsburgh Business and Professional Women. And this is only a one-year term, um, and I've been the president before, so I've been in the organization since 1998. So I'm one of the longer members in the Greater Pittsburgh Business and Professional Women's Group. I'm the oldest of seven kids, and I grew up in Mon Valley near Whitaker. And we were just talking about that. There's somebody here that grew up in West Mifflin, yes. And I stayed there until I went away to school. I worked as a professional musician for many years, performing, teaching, college. That was my first major career. Got my master's from Northwestern U, and then decided that I would become a financial planner. So I did that for many years and worked especially with women so that they could think about their future and their financial future. And I have to say that I live in Highland Park and we've raised our family there. We have two children, Helene and Joseph, adults, and they're both married. And our grandchildren are Eli, who is a sophomore in college this year, and Daisy, who is a sophomore in high school. I have been very, very active in the electoral process over the years and have elected and helped elect many women and people of color to elected offices, both statewide and local. And I think that that's really extremely important in terms of the advocacy for what you feel you want your representatives and legislators to fight for you. Um, I think I will stop there and say that I am very happy to be here tonight and to answer some of the questions about the Business and Professional Women's Group, and look forward to hearing from you also. Thanks.
Thank you so very much. And now, Jill Smallwood, would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for having both of us. Again, my name is Jill Smallwood, and I'm the newly installed Vice President of the Greater Pittsburgh Chapter of Business and Professional Women. After 24 years in a law enforcement career, I retired from the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police in 2011. I began a second career in 2014, operating a bus for Port Authority of Allegheny County. And then in 2019, I resigned from that position and actually started my own business. I have a dump truck service that I started. I was the sole operator, and I am the sole owner of that business, which still exists. I'm also a proud owner of a successful short-term rental, and I've always loved real estate and real estate related matters, but never became a realtor. Um, I am from Kokomo, Indiana. I have ties there and here. My father is from here, Pittsburgh, and I traveled back and forth as a child and then as an adult. But I've been in Pittsburgh most of my adult life. I am a veteran. I served 9 years in the Army Reserves, and about more than a year of that, I served on an AGR Active Guard Reserve tour. I am the proud grandmother of two beautiful granddaughters. And of course, they would not be here if it was not for my wonderful daughter, who is an adult, of course. So that's my life in a nutshell.
Oh, well, thank you so very much also. Okay, we have a few questions. Now, Mr. Carlo, you already told us that you were the president before and you're currently the president of the Pittsburgh Business and Professional Women's Organization. Um, what interests you in the organization?
I think the thing that brought me to the organization was Gwen Elliott, Commander Gwen Elliott. I was running for office at the time. I did run for the state senate and a couple of times and lost each time. And Gwen said, if you're going to run for office, you better meet some more people. So you got to come to this organization. And so I joined, and that was in 1998. And as I got to know the organization more, because I really knew nothing about it except it was professional women, and I was a professional woman. And so I thought I probably, since Gwen had asked me, I could certainly figure out what it was all about. But I was very surprised at the community influence that they had, the advocacy in terms of reaching out to the community, just the networking and the camaraderie with the women who were in the group. So I really felt right at home with it. So I was glad that I had that invitation. And we have grown. At that point, we had only about 12 people in our organization. That was quite a few years ago, and it goes up and down, But today we have over 50. We have about 54 people women in the organization, and it's just a grand group.
Okay. Well, thank you. Okay, Ms. Smallwood, you are the vice president. Currently, I'm serving
Yes.
as the vice president.
Yes.
Now, how long have you been the vice president, and what interests you in the organization?
I haven't been the vice president that long. We were sworn in I believe it was just September of this year. And I became a member in 2021. I was recruited by one of our past president, Marita Bryant. And she had actually been trying to get me to join for several years. And I just, starting a new business in 2019, I just didn't seem to have time. But I did join in 2021. I became active immediately. And what I liked and what I still like so much is that it's a group of women from one spectrum to the other. You don't have to be a judge or a teacher, let's just say, to be there. We have women who just are in all types of professions, and we add to one another. I believe that our meetings are positive. Even when we don't always agree, it comes out being positive or a lesson learned. And when I shifted from law enforcement, it really, I no longer had the need for that as I do for becoming a businesswoman. And that's what I am now. I'm a businesswoman. I need mentored. And I also need people to remind me why it's so important to have your own, to own your own, and to be a part of the community that you live in. I really and truly, I have the most fun, sometimes too much fun when I go to meetings, but I always leave there with a takeaway. There's something that, I have to take away. something that would make me better. And I'm big on recruitment. I recruit the people who thought they couldn't be a part of this organization. And then I recruit those who are reminded that they should be a part of this organization.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Well, thank you. It's very interesting. Your organization has a long history. It was founded in 1919, 1 year before the 19th Amendment was passed by Congress, which gives women the right to vote. Can either of you talk a little bit about the significance of that?
I will take that first. You can follow, Jill. Yes, it was started, the Business and Professional Women was started in, as you said, 1919. Yes. And it was funded by the Department of War. And the reason the Department of War gave the money was because the women were starting to break into the workforce because they needed them. And so they said, we will fund this organization so that you can get together and talk about what's happening, because it was really a change in society at that time, I guess, in times of women working and women not working. And so I thought that was very interesting that we got our start from the Department of War. However, we certainly are not advocates for war in any way, means, or form. Actually, it is just fantastic. And over the history, we were an international organization for a while, and then we were a national organization. And it was about 10 years ago that the foundation split with the national organization. So now we have a foundation, which is the Business and Professional Women's Foundation in DC. And we have states who are affiliated with the foundation. And so Pennsylvania has its own organization of business professional women. And it's almost like a franchise from the foundation. However, over all these years until that happened, the business and professional women, the leaders, were the greatest advocates in Congress for women's rights, for the rights to vote, for the rights to work, for the rights to not have to quit if you're pregnant, for the rights to make as much money. And in fact, we were often the first seat in advocacy in Congress over all these years in terms of women's issues. And as a matter of fact, under President Obama, when we passed the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, we were still there, and we got one of the first pens that President Obama used to sign that legislation. So it's a very, very long history of advocacy and information, which goes in with the mission, which is to achieve equity for all working women through advocacy, education, and information. And I believe that it lives up to its mission.
Okay, thank you. Did you want to add anything to that, Ms. Smallwood?
the only thing I want to add is that it's organizations like this that have made my careers possible, particularly that in law enforcement.
Mhm.
Women were not welcome in law enforcement. And so these are the kind of missions within organizations that make it possible for us to exist, and not just exist, you know, but for us to be a part of an important part of all organizations, including those that historically have been male dominated.
Okay. Well, you already covered the question about the mission, but did you want to go over that one more time to accentuate what your mission is?
Sure. Oh, go ahead, Jill.
Well, I was just going to read it from our bio, and the mission statement of BPW is to achieve equity for all women in the workplace through advocacy, education, and information.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
Now, how many members would you say you have in the greater Pittsburgh area?
It's our group. We have 54. McKeesport has, what do they have now? 18, I think. And we belong to a region, and there are 6 local organizations in our region. We're District 3, and we cover Allegheny County and Westmoreland County. And so there's a chapter in Latrobe, there's a chapter in Ligonier, Greensburg, Scottdale, and the two in Allegheny County. So we come together for district meetings, one in the fall and one in the spring, to do some business as we always do, and to just congeal the organization as a district meeting like that would. And then every year we have also a state convention in June where our officers are then sworn in and business is done and budgets are made and all that sort of stuff that go with organizations. So it's statewide, and every state has their own organization if they choose to. Some states have chosen not to keep their organization of the Business and Professional Women, but Pennsylvania has. And so we're lucky to have this organization, Greater Pittsburgh, and we do take in Greater Pittsburgh. And the district is Allegheny County and Westmoreland County.
Okay, thank you. Now, business and professional women. Who are the women you recruit for your organization? When your name says business and professional women, who do you mean?
I personally think that means anyone who has a desire to one to work, of course, people who are either entrepreneurs, those who are working in careers, but we wouldn't turn someone away just because we have quite a few retirees that are in our organization. I would be one of them, although I've started, second careers. So we recruit those people who really are like-minded women. They believe in our mission. That's how they live their life. And they too promote the equity for all women in the workplace and through education. So,
Okay, thank you. We have a caller on the line. So, Mark, good evening. How are you? And what question do you have for our speakers?
Well, first of all, Pat, I just wanted to say that it's so nice to see you. And this is another wonderful, wonderful show. And, Pat, I really feel like that balloons should fall down from the screen now, because I know both of these beautiful young ladies. I know Miss Smallworth. I remember her days as a police officer. And, of course, Bonnie, I know her very well, involved with the politics. So really excited about hearing additional information about both of these individuals that I have not known over the years. But my question to both and to the organization would be, while each of you have wonderful stories, what are we doing? And I'm kind of guilty, even though I've tried, wasn't successful. But what are we doing to get your stories in front of the young ladies in high schools? Because they have wonderful entrepreneurial ideas. They graduate and they stumble a lot, because I don't know if there's anybody that picks them up and mentor them and try to encourage them along. But are you doing anything at all, or is there a committee that addresses that? Secondly, have you or do you have a policy committee that would impact the public schools policy, where they can become a part of the curriculum, where it's no more guesswork, but we know these young ladies will be exposed to beautiful and sharp young ladies such as yourself. I will hang up and listen, and it is so good to see both of you. And if you don't remember me next time I see you, I'll wave at you and stop over and say Jello.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, ladies, who would like to start with an answer?
I'm going to let Bonnie handle this one, but we do some work with young women, and I'll let Bonnie share that with you.
Okay. All right. Just apropos of the statement, on this coming Tuesday, the 11th, we are having a panel of 4 young women. The panel has been put together by the superintendent of the Penn Hill School, who is a member, Nancy Hines. And so she has contact with graduates. And so we're very excited because these 4 women have diverse professions and diverse education and diverse backgrounds. And so we figured that will be very educational. We have at times had mentoring policies with the organization, and we have taken that on as an annual kind of thing that we're doing. And I know it sounds dumb to say you stop mentoring, but people move and people, change. But we are very interested in mentoring young women. That is not the main goal of the organization. The advocacy is for the professional women, but the young women, as he said, really have to know about the stories, about how difficult it was for Jill when she was in the police force. And how difficult it is for a person who is teaching and just teachers. It's very difficult. I mean, there are all sorts of things. Professional. I mean, I was in the financial world for 30 some years. How difficult it is. When I started, there were very, very few women in financial planning. And we always said, which is interesting, that young people don't understand, I don't think, when all women were bank tellers and all managers were male, the salaries were pretty low. As soon as men started getting trained and figured that their fingers could fit on the computer keys, like we were told, men are never secretaries because their fingers are too big, too stubby. The salaries went up for the tellers because there were men involved. And it's really sad but these are some of, in my mind anyway, some of the points that we have to remember and have to know, because things have not totally changed at all. In the workplace, in the community, even in the churches, there's a lot way to go. In terms of the schools, and then Jill, if you want to pick that up, I just want to say it's very, very difficult. I don't know that is one of our goals that we should have in terms of trying to enter the schools. I think mentoring is great. If we ever had a call for it, we would take up and we would do it. And this may be the call because we haven't thought of it in the past. Except for the mentoring, we have done quite a bit of mentoring, and even among our members, just being there with the younger people, and being with each other and talking about each other's lives and professions and what happened. So yes, I understand the need for mentors and the need for trying to get these stories about women's history and what women have gone through to the younger people. I just want to make one last statement about that. I've often said that there should be a new area of psychiatry or psychology, and that area should be for women who think that it's really a level playing field out there, and then feel that they have it's because of them that they didn't get the job, or they didn't get moved up, or they didn't get the position. So I think it's a dose of reality also is very good.
Okay. Jill, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I don't have anything to add because I really don't know what the schools are doing. So I can't speak on it. My granddaughters are much younger. So I really don't know how the messages and the lessons are being passed on. But I do know that our younger women, they're so bright and they have so much potential. And so I think there's an influence from somewhere. If I'm not mistaken, my church, Mount Ararat Baptist Church, has a program, like a business program for the children, like part of an after-school program. But I don't even have the facts and details on that. So there are programs that are out here.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. Now you have a scholarship program, the Linda A. Cobb Memorial Scholarship. Um, can you discuss how that scholarship got started and who actually qualifies for it?
I'll take that one. Okay. Linda A. Cobb was an attorney in Pittsburgh, an African American woman. She became the first woman to be the district magistrate downtown. She was appointed to that position. She was very, very, very interested in education for women, especially. And that was her dream, that the organization, when she was a member of it, would have a scholarship fund. And it was because of Linda that that really was started. Now, we were very unfortunate. We were, because Linda had a double lung transplant, and she was very ill. We did a lot of work with her when she was going through her illness and through her treatments and through her medications. And she lived for a couple of years, but then she did pass. But that is the name of the scholarship, the Linda A. Cobb Memorial Scholarship. The woman who runs it now, who does a lot of the work with her committee, is Norma Caquato. And Norma was brought in to the group by Linda Cobb because they were both attorneys. Norma is a retired attorney. So we are just so proud of Linda and so proud of the work that she started and the work that Norma continues with her committee throughout. Last year usually we give 2 scholarships, one to a graduating senior in high school and one to a woman who is going back to school, whether it's to begin an education, whether it's to bone up on something in some profession that she's interested in. And so we had 2 scholarships last year. Hopefully, we had a very nice fundraiser, and we'll talk about that, Jill, later. And we hopefully will give more than 2 scholarships with a little heftier price this time.
That's great.
So that's how the scholarship works. Applications can be received through our post office box, and just say that you want an application and we can send it out by email. Everything is spelled out, deadlines, whatever you need is there in the package for the scholarship, and we award them at our meeting in June.
Okay. So they would have to have their applications in by June. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, viewers, you can see the information about the post office box for the Greater Pittsburgh Business and Professional Women.
Just let me, we need the information. There's usually a deadline about April. Because then the committee gets together and renews them. And but if anybody is listening or wants to pass the word along about the scholarship of the Greater Pittsburgh Business and Professional Women, they can drop a line at this post office box and say, I want an application, and have your email there, and we will get it out to you.
Okay, it's wonderful. Okay, you are a 501c3 organization. And how does that status affect your organization?
I have to correct you. We are not a 501c3.
You're not? Okay.
We are a 501(c)(6) or C6.
Okay.
And Jill,
You can handle.
Okay.
You can take that.
501c3 is, as you know, because you brought it up, you can write checks to that organization and you can deduct them as a deduction for a charitable thing, as a charitable organization, a nonprofit organization. 501c6 has some benefits, but basically it's an organization that can do advocacy work and can be in public about certain issues. And so we do not have the tax deduction that a 501c3 does.
Okay. Okay, I made that correction on my paper, so I won't make that mistake. Yeah. Okay. We understand that you have 10 empowering reasons to join the Greater Pittsburgh Business and Professional Women. Can you expound upon this for us a little bit?
So the 10 reasons to join GPBPW is E for educational benefits, M for mentoring, P for political advocacy, O for opportunity, W for women helping women, E for equality for women, R for reform, I for impact, N for networking, and G for guidance.
Okay. And that stands for empowering. So great. All right.
If I
Um,
could,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to share with you all that I remember as a young officer going before Magistrate Cobb at the city court.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes to show you that here she is presiding over my cases. And then one day I become a part of an organization where we honor her annually for her work and for all that she stood for. So I think that's, it's, you just never know. And that's
Right.
why it's so important to do right, to live right, to try to, be the very best you can be. And also to know that the people that you meet in the early part of your life, it's likely you might see them later on.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, what are some of the ways that your organization advocates to achieve equality and social equality for all women?
One of the things that I enjoyed most was we had a panel of judges where we brought them onto a call similar to this, and they were all running for judge here within Allegheny County, and they introduced themselves to us, to our organization, what they stood for, and we were able to ask them questions about what their beliefs were, what they were fighting for in the court system, and what it meant to them to run for judge and possibly become a judge. I thought that was empowering. I thought it was so significant that we were able to connect with the very people who are going to be making decisions about our lives and the lives of our family, the lives of our community. So those are the kind of empowering moments that I think mean so much. Um, who who knew that? I think it was all six of them won, you
They
know.
did.
Yes, which was wonderful. But who knew that we would have an opportunity to spend an evening with them and talk about what it is that they stand for and what it is that they plan to do if they would be and have been elected to the bench.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that. And you brought up the judges. I'm going to follow up on that one. I have been working to elect judges for my entire life, both statewide and local. But I do have to say that experience was one of the best because weren't working against each other. They were talking back and forth because they were all about the same thing in terms of the judicial system and how they view it and what their thoughts would be. But one of the things that I say to people is, how many times will you get elected, or how many times will you be invited to the White House to have dinner with the president in your lifetime? But how many times do you know in your family or your neighbors or your relatives that they have to go before a judge in the court? And if you don't think that those elections are important, that's one of the legislative things that we advocate in Business and Professional Women also, that all elections are important. People think that electing judges are not important. In 2023, the odd years in Pennsylvania, we elect our judges. And I believe, as Jill said, it was so inspiring. And so, it was wonderful to have all the candidates there. I think we upped the percentage of women on the Common Pleas Court in Allegheny County by probably 25%. And we certainly upped the women of color or the persons of color on that court by 75% with that election, which is too bad. However, I think it's very important that we continue to advocate for the election of good judges, of judges who share our values and share our principles and share things that when we go before them and our family or our relatives or our neighbors, whoever stands in front of that judge, that we know that we were one of the groups that helped elect honorable judges with integrity and who are faithful and truthful to the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. We have another caller on the line. We have Laura. Good evening, Laura. How are you?
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much for taking my call. First, I'd like to say this is a very interesting program today, and I really appreciate the National Council of Negro Women for what you bring to us every month. Thank you.
Thank you. You're
I
welcome.
just had a question for your guests. I did understand one of the callers asked, are you all in the school system yet? You know, bringing young children along. And I know you said it was a good idea. How about what age can people join your organization? Oh, that's my first question. My second question is, do you have the people who are members bring their children or their young children in their family along to teach them, like, for instance, parliamentary procedures or how to write up a business plan, or to try to gear them, if they're interested, on how to become business and professional women and how to conduct a business and write a business plan? And I'll hang up and wait for you to answer my two questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling in. Ladies?
I'll let you start, Bonnie, and then I'll follow up on it.
Okay. We do have a membership for students, which are for the younger women. We don't have many students involved in our organization, but there is that chance to have a student membership, which we would love if we had more student memberships. We do not encourage, and we have not, I should say, encouraged bringing younger people to the meetings other than teenagers. Mothers have brought their daughters to a certain number of meetings and also to events that we have, because our events are very educational. And so I think that is our mission. It would be wonderful, just like if you took your child to the voting booth with you, or when you're voting, or if you take your child to the grocery store so that you can talk about fresh fruits and fresh vegetables when you're shopping for food. It would be great too if people would think about bringing a young person. A young person would be somewhat bored with our meetings, probably. Mm-hmm. Not all the time, but sometime. But high school is where we would like to concentrate a little bit more in terms of student members.
Okay.
So what I'd like to share is that although we might not do it as an organization, I do know that myself and a lot of the professional women, their daughters in particular, are involved in their businesses. They do attend the events that we host. We have a vendor fair every year. Well, this will be our second one, and they bring their children with them to help. I brought my grandchildren with me last year to help me at the vendor fair. And I do business at home. So my grandchildren are involved in the small things. It could be putting receipts in order, chronologically in order. So I know for a fact that many of the women in the organization, they have personal interest in involving their children and grandchildren. I just can't say, like Bonnie said, that our meetings would be really interesting enough for them until we have a panel,
right,
where we have young women talk about businesses, business experience, etc. So those things, yes. But I'm going to say this. Some of the adults at our meetings are not, they're kind of bored by some of what's being said. So, yeah, we don't have a lot of children participating. But if you had to bring your child to a meeting, we would not turn you away, nor would we turn away the child. They could come in and just simply be a part of the audience like any other member. So we encourage in that way. We don't want you to stay home because you have your granddaughter or your daughter with you. We lead by example. I will say that as a woman organization, we lead by example. We are what we say we are. We're hardworking women. We want the best, not only for our families, but for our communities. And every day there's something that I can say that many of us are doing to add to that example that we want to display.
Okay, thank you. You alluded to some of the activities you have. So why don't we talk about that? What are some of the activities that you have coming up, and how do we get involved?
Well, the first one that Jill already talked about a little bit is our vendor fair. And we do that to promote women businesses in the area. That is going to, I will tell you, that is going to be on Saturday, December 3rd. And it's over there near Staples, next door to Staples, in that little shopping center on Penn Avenue in East Liberty there,
Okay.
right next door to the Staples. Again, if we put up our post office box address and put that up, if you are interested, just drop a note in there and we will get you the information about being a vendor. I won't say the cost because I'm told not to, but it's not expensive. And there is no fee to come in and shop for the holidays at the vendor fair. So I think this does three things. One, it's a great networking area for younger people and learning about the ins and outs and the ups and downs of businesses from each other. Second, you can do your holiday shopping or not holiday shopping because there are so many beautiful things that are there for you to look at and perhaps purchase. And third, it also gives money to our organization so that we can continue the work in the community that we do. And so that's the first one. Do you want to take the scholarship luncheon, Jill?
Well, I wanted to add to some
Okay.
of what you said. 6401 Penn
Oh,
Avenue,
thank you. Right.
Pittsburgh, PA 15206. It's Suite 300. That is where we will be having our vendor bash for the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
We have partnered with UPMC, who has opened a neighborhood center in that space. And so you will be able to not only do some shopping, but there are some organizations within or associated with UPMC that will be there as well to offer health and wellness information and some of the neighborhood resources that are available. So we'll have that. It'll be from 11 a.m. until 3. And like I said, it's right on a bus line, right in that plaza. And it's a good time. Last year was a good time. This year we're, recruiting more vendors so that it will be even bigger. And I can tell you that I met quite a few business women who are part of the same community I'm a part of. I just had no idea that they were, in fact, in business for themselves. So it gives an opportunity to meet other business women. We would not turn away a man if he decided that he wanted to come and be a vendor for that event. He could. We did have one male last year,
Right.
who was a caterer,
Mm-hmm.
is a caterer, and he cooked food and provided hot foods for us. So it is, we're not anti-male. our focus is just from we're a women's organization. So we recruit also when we do events like that. That's a way for us to share with people who we are and to see if they might be interested in joining the Greater Pittsburgh chapter of BPW.
Okay. So
Every,
once again, could you tell us how, if they're interested in being a vendor?
yes, they
Okay.
can go to our website. We have information on our website that thank you, that they can go to. And with that information will be 1 or 2 pages. One you print out, you fill in the information, you send in your fee, and it reserves your space for the event. And or you can just send us a note to the our PO box, and you can let us know that you're interested in participating in the event, and we'll get back to you with an application.
Okay. That sounds great. Now we're getting down to the last 15 minutes, but I've heard you say that there were other events. Tell us a little bit about those.
So we talked earlier about our scholarship event, which is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And we have that typically in April of every year. Um, for the last few years, it's been at the Lamont restaurant in Mount Washington. So you get a good meal, you get good company, and you get a great view. We also, it slipped my mind just that quick.
Okay, talk about the panel that we have usually.
For the
Yeah.
the youth, the students.
No.
Oh,
our panel discussions of different topics.
Yes. Every month we have, well, first of all, we have guests that come every month to speak to our organization. They share with us who they are and what they represent. And it's, again, it's a form of networking. We have panel discussions where if there are issues or matters that we think are worth, talking about, learning about, we invite women professionals to those events. We invite guests, and they talk on different subject matters with their expertise.
Right. At our last scholarship luncheon that we had at the Lamont last spring, it's always in the spring, like Jill said, we initiated a Gwen Elliott Award. And since Gwen Elliott was so instrumental in the club, and when it used to be the East Liberty Business and Professional Women, and then we decided that we weren't only, actually Gwen decided we shouldn't only be East Liberty, we should be Greater Pittsburgh, because there wasn't another one around. And so that's how we got that name changed quite a few years ago. But it was, and we honored the pastor Denise Welsh from the Bidwell Presbyterian Church. And it was a great event. And she was the first recipient of the Gwen Elliott Award. So we are very, very proud of that, proud of the work that Gwen did, and proud that we can continue to carry on her work and her name in that way.
Mm-hmm. We also have adopted a senior care center.
Thanks. Yeah.
We adopted a personal care home, assisted living, senior care center in McKeesport, PA. And every 3 to 4 months, we speak with the director and we ask him what the needs are, particularly of those patients who have less or have, less family contact. And he tells us what those needs are. And it's usually something for hygiene or socks and we gather these items together as an organization and we deliver them to Senior Care Plaza, which is on Lyle Boulevard in McKeesport, PA. Mm-hmm. They're glad to see us coming. And we take great pride in delivering to people who we know are sometimes less fortunate and sometimes forgotten.
Yes, we also, each year as a group, we choose a number of nonprofit organizations that we will contribute to. And it depends, whether, like Jill said, in the there we do not give money particularly, but we buy the products and deliver them that they would like. Often it's only money because that's what organizations ask for. But we've done so many: Sojourner's House, Gwen's Girls, of course, the Operation Safety Net. Actually, for many, many years, we collected white socks for the people that are involved in, those are the homeless that live under the bridge, and that Dr. Withers has continued to treat, and it's called Operation Safety Net. I used to call it Operation Under the Bridge, and everybody would laugh at me, but that's how I remember it. So we do.
Freedom House.
Yes, Freedom House is another one. Right, exactly. And you may remember more than I do, but so we know about giving to the community. And again, it's just a very spiritual kind of thing. It's a very networking kind of thing. It's a very community thing that we give back and we reach out because we know that what we have is so good and we just have to share it. And so we do that.
I think, Bonnie, well, one thing that I did forget was that when we have speakers come and address our organization, we do that monthly. Every meeting we have a guest speaker, and we give them a love token before they leave of $50, something that they can use in whatever way they see fit. And they're pleasantly surprised. And although it's not a lot to many people, it still means something to those who receive it, that we are, thinking about their needs and the cause that they support.
And I'd just like to say a couple words about, we do have organizational presidents and vice presidents and directors, etc. And so we have taken part in that over the years. Maurita Bryant had been the district treasurer when I was the district director. The story about that is we were sitting in a meeting and they needed somebody for assistant director at that time. Nobody signed up for it. And I'm sitting there with Gwen Elliott at the business meeting. And I looked at Gwen and I said, oh God, that's just what I would need, another job. And the next thing I know, Gwen's hand is up in the air going, I nominate Bonnie DiCarlo. Ay. But that was Gwen. And that's kind of a character, Diane Richard definitely was on the state board, actually, a state officer, one of our members. So we not only take part in our local organization, but in the district and also in the state. One of the things that the organization does is, and we haven't always had a person in this, but they have like contests every year. And one of them is for a young person, a speech contest on a specific subject that they learn to speak in public. And it's for persons who are under the age of 35. And it's very well run. They're very well timed. They have to be exactly on time with their speech, And we've had a number of contestants over the years that have also taken those courses because they're actually courses about speaking and oratory.
So as usual, when we have an interesting topic like this, we always sort of run short of time. But I do have one more question I'd like you ladies to explain to us. With all the fantastic and wonderful and interesting things you are doing, what are the requirements to become a member and who should they contact?
Well, to become a member, you should contact any of us if there's someone that you know within the organization. That's, of course, the easiest way. But if you go to our website, you will see that at the bottom of a monthly newsletter that's done, there is an application for membership.
Mhm.
And really, it's about just filling out your name and the things about you. And then, of course, we'll vet you in a very kind way. But it's really that simple, for you to show up, for you to put in your application, to pay the fee, and then become involved.
And
Okay.
I'd like to say that the fee is very low.
Yes.
In relation to other organizations, it's like a nothing fee. It's just a matter of paying our state and local dues and having a couple bucks left over. But so it's not one of these $250 a year kind of organizations at all.
Okay.
Also, I'm going to give, if anybody's listening or who finds it in the future, I'm going to give out my email address. I don't mind doing that. It's very simple. Bonnie, BONNIE 255 at AOL.com. You can always send me an email and say, I'd like more information on how to join your organization. Like I said, we are growing. Jill is wonderful in recruiting. My gosh, she is the best. We have just flourished. Like I said, I think we have 54 members now, and we expect to hit 75, right, Jill, by the end of the year?
Yep, we do.
Absolutely.
We do.
Absolutely.
Well, ladies, this has really been a delight and a lot of valuable information. And I'd like to thank you for being our guest today. And we'd like to say that the Good Health Women's Immunization Network, Good Health Wins, is our commitment to building an army of good health champions who understand the importance of immunization across the lifespan. We want to educate, advocate, and impact families and communities across the United States to end the pandemic, address health disparities, and shine the light on the importance of good health. Through our network of trusted messengers and grassroots activities, our goal is to increase vaccination rates, help remove barriers, and increase access to vaccines and good health. We'd like to thank both of you for coming out today and for all of those that took time to come to our program tonight and take time out of your busy schedule to inform our viewing audience about the greater Pittsburgh business and professional women. We also like to thank all of you for tuning in, and remember, our live program airs the first Friday of every month at 6 p.m. Remember to get vaccinated. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Okay,
Right.
everybody, enjoy your evenings.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.